So, hello, Toph Taylor from SOHN,
Hello.
and congratulations on your new record. It's album number 3.
Yeah.
It's called Trust. And in your own words, it's your best record to date, which is funny because isn't every record the best record to date?
No.
No?
Yeah, I don't think I'd have said that about my last record, actually, funnily enough. But, artists always hate on their previous record. But in my case, it was like a collection of reasons why I felt like that my last record kind of got out of control. And obviously it's been a long time. I think it's like 5 years since I released that record. So it's a lot has happened. A lot's happened since then. And this is, I feel like this record says something to me that makes it my favorite record. Though it's hard to know if you're going to stay, but I'm never gonna walk away. I'm never gonna walk away.
Mostly it's the second record that's the dreaded difficult album, because especially if you've had a successful debut record, then expectations are very high on the second one. It does feel though that for you the third one was the most challenging one because it took so long.
It was a killer. I mean,
What happened?
Technically this is like my fourth record because I made a third one, but like I threw it away because it was just this kind of monster of like sort of worries, like a monster of worries and anguish. And I was pouring everything into trying to write songs. And I think maybe because I'm in that kind of like, up until now I was considered like a producer, and I was finding it really difficult to continue to be a producer because I wasn't liking synthetic music that much anymore. So it was a bit difficult to kind of be like, how do I mean, I tried everything, dude. Like I had a krautrock phase. I like went through a stage of being like, no, I'm not going to touch a synthesizer. Then I went through, I'm only going to touch a synthesizer. And I got to a point where basically it was only this year, it was like February this year, I went to Los Angeles to try and write the last song for the record to finish it. And then I just couldn't do it. I tried and I tried and I tried session after session. I just could not write that one song that would close the record. It was called Tundra, the record. And then I kind of decided, I made a decision, okay, I've got a week to go. I need to just pretend that I'm starting something new. The first song came out of me like immediately. The next song I wrote another, the next day I wrote another, next day I wrote another. And before I knew it, I was like, I extended my trip by 3 more weeks. And I had a finished record, brand new, by the end of that trip. So it was kind of like such a relief. And for me, I didn't want to hear that like 5-year struggle in a record.
Yeah.
So this doesn't sound like that. This sounds like the relief. And I've been waiting on you. No deny the hope that there's another truth. Oh, listen, I know I made a mistake to think that letting you go was the same thing as holding you close.
So you had to write that record to be able to write the one that you then ended up releasing. And in 10 years, the Tundra sessions, the previously unreleased ones are gonna come out.
I've got like 4, I would say 40 songs that didn't make it, plus an instrumental record because I was going mental.
Instrumental.
Yeah.
Nice. Sorry.
So
I'm gonna quote you again. You also said that it's your most unpretentious album because, quote,
so.
I didn't try to be an artist, I realized that I am an artist. So that does almost sound like you were suffering from imposter syndrome, and people think they're a fraud. And
I think that I don't know. It's a funny time to be a writer or a singer or whatever you are, because the crossover to product is so sort of seamless that at some point there's like, what's a good business decision? You know, like, what should you do to continue to be successful in the area that you've carved out for yourself or whatever? And I was struggling with that because I didn't like the area, you know, and I was like, okay, so how do I continue to make music with people around me telling me, please stay in that area, that's what is going to make sense and that's what's going to make you successful, sort of thing. And I was really trying to stay in that area, but I could feel it wasn't right. And I don't think this is a huge departure from my previous sound, but I think there's a marked kind of departure. I'm moving towards something else, I think.
Well, let's get into that. First, thematically, like one of the main themes of the album is family.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having found a home, a safe space, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, since you have been living all over the world, like born in the UK, and then you lived in Austria, and then in the US, and now in Spain, what is the concept of home to you?
Yeah, it's when I think of that word, actually, it's not geographical. It's like, it's us, you know? It's like friends, it's community, it's like your family, if you have a family. And like, for me, like, home is also a sense of like yourself kind of like putting the bags down, you know? That doesn't mean geographically putting your bags down. It just means being like, what am I looking for? And I think that this is a kind of a moment for me in my life where I'm like, what the hell am I like searching for? Like, before I know it, I'm going to be dead, and I'll have been just searching my whole life, and I wouldn't have just been like, well, maybe it's all right here. At one point, there's a line in one of the songs called Riverbank, which is like, well, there's two lines from it. I guess the one line which sums up what we were just talking about is kind of like, 20 years set on the brink, I'm a riverbank, you know? So the idea is that in moments of disruption or stress or panic or anxiety, there's a tendency to want to be the river and to control the direction of the river, or to stop the river if the river is life, right? But our role isn't that. We can't control anything, right? So the idea is, you can be the riverbank. You can like build the river and help contain the river and help direct and divert the river in the direction you would like, but you're not stopping it.
20 years sat on the brink, I am a riverbank. Oh Lord, I'm waiting for you. 20 years I've written my lines, so long I'm mummified, and the river that I'm holding never lost my vision. Time is on my side. Time is on my side.
I was going to talk about that song Riverbank because I think it's one of the most outstanding songs of the album.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's about, you mentioned, I think, different ages and stages of your life.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you have any regrets.
Do I have any regrets? I don't think so. I think I wish I'd found this stuff out sooner. And I'm still like, I'm by no means Zen, you know? But I don't know if it's about a stage of life or what it is, but there's suddenly like, I'm a very melancholic person. And in moments of like extreme happiness, the first place that my brain goes to is like, this is such a shame that this is going to be over. Even if it's just the feeling that I'm feeling right now. And then that will become a memory, and that's that, you know? So yeah, I wish that I could probably like live these things that I'm thinking more in the moment.
20 years I've written my lines, so long I'm mummified, and the river that I'm holding never lost my vision. Time is on my
you mentioned community, which played a big part in the making of the record as well, because for the first time you didn't do it all on your own. You worked with a lot of other people, with friends and artists, which is a huge change if you're not used to that. And since the album is called Trust, was it a challenge for you to trust other people in that
so
process?
much. I've spent years, like I've been wanting to work with people on my side. I work with people all the time for their stuff because I don't have any feeling of, well, because that person has to be vulnerable, not me, right? But working on my own stuff, I always had this kind of, I don't know if it was like a superiority complex where I was like, oh, you don't get it. You don't get what I'm trying to do. So someone would suggest something, I'd be like, and the first thought would be like, oh, they don't get it. And then, of course, I don't trust anything they say from now on because I'm like, oh, they're not thinking along the same lines as you, right? So this was a really interesting moment for me in my life. I had this moment one other time, maybe two other times, and each time it's happened, it's meant a seismic change in my entire life, right? And it's a feeling of being 100% down on your knees, where you're like, I am screwed. I don't know what to do anymore. I've got no kind of like way out. And I had this same feeling just before I started SOHN. And it was like, I need to change something in a big way. I need people's help. And that's what hit me on this record. Like I reached a point where I was trying to do this thing. And I realized that I could no longer do it. That was it. I can no longer do it. So before, I'd always tried to work with people because I thought I wanted help. But then when this happened, I was like, I need help. Like, I can't write a song. And I can't write a song that I'm happy with. I can't make sounds that I'm happy with. I was super down. And so when I did this trip, everybody that I worked with on the trip I'd never met before. And I kind of had this feeling of like, I would walk into the room, meet these people for the first time and just tell them, be like, look, this is where I'm at, man. Like I'm down there right now. And what I need from you, it's not even about music. It's like, I need you to just like welcome me and give me a hug and be like, you know, can I sleep on your sofa if like we carry on working late? Like I need friends, you know? And that feeling when it started to work was like this waterfall of amazing, like, it's like, it was like a movie, you know? All of a sudden these colors started to pour out musically, but also just like the way that I felt about what like suddenly I was like, oh, the world is like being kind to me again now.
Won't have to lie to prove my heart. Won't be a stranger when apart. Won't let you go if you depart. Will not forget my end, my start. I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't, I won't,
I would maybe add the theme nature to the list of album themes in a broader way, I guess, because you mentioned a lot of, like some of the song titles are named after your surroundings, like Segre is about the river you live close by to, and then of course there's figure skating Neusiedler See, which is close to here. So were you drawing inspiration from these places specifically, or did you just need song titles?
No, it was like in the case of Segre, it was kind of like about this drive that I do up to a place that we can stay at in the mountains. It's about a 3-hour drive from our house. And whenever times are getting tough for me or my partner or my kids or whatever, we kind of just like to run. And so we're really lucky we've got this place where if things start to get really, I don't know, they start to feel not good, we all just pack a bag and just go. It's like, let's just go to the mountains, and then it feels different, you know? So Segre was about that. It was about this kind of like this going to that place, which is like a reset point for me.
from the secret to the miracle. From the secret to the miracle. From the secret to the miracle.
translate into a very organic, or I hate the word organic, but it is.
But it's difficult to explain.
Yeah, like intimate, calm sound.
Yeah.
I get some Bon Iver vibes.
Yeah.
Some folklore and soul elements even.
Yeah.
So did you feel that it needed that sound to bring across the themes and depart
It wasn't really
from...
that, it's like the sound before anything was the first thing that I've wanted to do this for 6 years, like, and I've known exactly what it was I was aiming for, but I couldn't find a satisfying way to get there. And it was only when I did these sessions that all of a sudden, I think maybe what it was, suddenly I was writing the songs that fit that. Before I was trying to like get that. I've been talking about for like 6 years, it should sound like it's in a room, it should sound like it's in a room, it should sound like it's in a room. But I didn't really know what that meant. And I actually ended up pretty much traveling the world during the making of Tundra, trying to find the room, like, and I have my friend Renee's place. And I was like, this is the room, this is it, I'm going to make krautrock in it. And then I was like, oh no, this is the room in New York. No, this is the room in Spain. And like, I kept searching Denmark. I was like, I went everywhere. Iceland, like I went to all these different places trying to find the room. And which ties really well to what the thing of the record was, that it wasn't about the room. It wasn't about the room. It was about me in the room, Mm-hmm. And so we ended up in this, like, Jakob's studio is basically, it's like a little greenhouse at the back of the house. It's got nothing, it's not a studio. The door was open half the time when we were recording. You can hear birds on half of the vocals. And it was just like, it's not about the room, it's about the people in the room.
Which room should your listeners listen?
I have very specific, like, it's daytime. The windows are open. It's not even at full volume, the record. And you should be like sort of relaxed, and there should be plants around. It's really it's a kind of record that, like, it doesn't really feel like it's been recorded in some way. And I was really specific with mixing and mastering, where I kept getting things back. And I was like, you've made it sound like it was recorded. And I really don't want it to sound like that. I don't want it to sound like I had a really nice mic in front of my mouth, or that the piano was put through a compressor and it sounds really rich. Like, I was like, no, everything has to come off it. It has to sound like, if it sounds weak because it's not been like beefed up in that way, that's fine. Like, it's about the space. It's not about how much space has been taken up by these sounds. And it's funny because I've played that record in various sort of situations. At one point, someone came in thinking I was just playing and singing, and they were like, oh, where is that coming from? And I was like, oh, that's the record. And they were like, which room are you playing it in? I'm like, this room. And they were like, oh, because it doesn't sound very direct. It sounds like the space.
Okay, thank you, Toph.
Yeah,
good
thanks
luck
very much.
with the new album.
Thank you. Yeah.
Done.
Awesome. Cool. What am I going to do now?